Come on board. Join us for our Dreamboat Stories series, hosted by Captain George LaBonte, where we tell the stories of boaters just like you who have turned their wildest boating dreams into reality.
On today's Mission Dreamboat Story, we're joined by Rick and Artie. Now, Artie's the owner of a 2002 31-foot Contender fish-around, and Rick is his good buddy who fishes with him on the boat a lot. Now, this boat has been great to them over the years. They've had a lot of experience fishing on it, but they've owned it long enough to realize there's probably a couple of things on it that they could change that would make it suit their purposes much better. Now, what started out as Artie's wife just wanting more comfortable seating quickly turned into a major project. You're going to want to stick around and see how this turns out.
My name is Artie Chiodo. I'm from West Islip, New York, and this is a 2001 31 Contender fish-around. I had seen this boat on, I want to say it was the Contender's only Facebook page, and it was in Vero Beach for sale as a project, low hours, but hadn't been in the water for, I want to say, over 10 years.
So, again, my name is Rick, and Artie and I met, like he said, about probably 20 years ago. At the time, I wasn't as involved in the marina world, and I ran a body shop. So, in a perfect world, I do want to say that this boat kind of forced me to get a marina quote-unquote business and start doing boat repair and boat fiberglass work. He did leave out one key important part of why we did decide to build this boat, is because his wife was very disappointed in the seating in this boat. And that was the number one concern that the boat came to me for, was to build a seat for his wife. He can tell you anything he wants, but that's really the truth.
You're right. There was nowhere to sit. There was nowhere to sit, and there wasn't enough shade. So basically, we started off by we were going to add a leaning post and a T-top. Yeah,
and a front seat. That original plan, I remember the phone call like it was yesterday. The boat was in the building. We had started doing some custom work on it, and he hits me with, "So do you think you could paint the hull?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, I could definitely paint the hull, no big deal." 2 days, 4 days later, I don't know the exact timeline, he's like, "I think I want to cut a door in the side of the boat." I was like, "All right, well," and that's how the whole thing started. After the door, it just became a full-fledged refit, rebuild.
Now, sometimes when you undertake a project like this Contender project, you realize that this is a good time to get into some more stuff that you hadn't thought of originally. Well, Artie and Rick looked at this project in just that way. They saw things in more modern boats that they'd like to have on this boat. And technology has come so far in the 22 or 3 years since this boat was made, and so many more conveniences have been created and invented since then. They decided that this was going to be a good time to go all in on this project.
So yeah, the boat's got 3 brand new fuel tanks. It's got a fuel distribution system that Tommy built from scratch. After we put the boat back together and we glassed the floor in and sealed it up, there's never going to be an issue where water is going to get inside that cavity anymore and cause a tank failure.
On the port side, when we decided to cut the door, I reinforced the hull on the port side, under the gunnels, the stringer, and under the deck to reinforce that door. So that the door wouldn't flex, and it actually came out very well, meaning it's been, I think 2 years now, right? 3 years?
Yeah, it's been 2 years.
And we have no stress cracks or anything else, so the reinforcement that we did under there was definitely warranted.
Some of the big things that we added to the boat was a through the stem anchor. We added a saltwater wash down at the bow, a freshwater wash down at the bow. Everybody wants to mount a Rodan or a Minn Kota or now these new Garmins. We wanted this one to really look like it was part of the boat. So Rick and I talked about it and went over a couple of ideas, and we struck a mold, and it's kind of where we're at with it. So we wanted to add pitch bait wells to the front of the boat, but one of the things that Rick and I came into seeing as an issue was, how do you drain the pitch bait well? You're gonna drain it on the deck, you're gonna put a through hull through the side of the boat. How are you gonna drain it? So Rick came up with an idea, well, let's build the pitch bait well, but let's make it drain towards the bow.
The pitch bait wells, instead of being pitched in essence aft, we turned them 180 degrees and pitched them to the bow, And then we did a Gemlux sells a nice through hull, 90-degree through hull, which we also used as the anchor drain.
And then I think the front seat, no one really ever sat up in the front seat that was previously up there because you could never stay in the front seat. It kind of came back around with the house. There was really like no armrests on it or anything.
So yeah, it was about half the size of that, and there used to be a window.
There was
a hatch on the top that we eliminated and incorporated the seat. But that turned into a couple other issues. We wanted cup holders on the side. How do you drain the cup holders? So we came up with the drains on the side of the house that's soft piped into the drains.
How do you drain the bottom of the seat?
The drains for the bottom of the seat go into the holes on the side of the house. It's all soft piped. So it was a little bit of a challenge to modify that.
Couple other issues was that the pipe work for the hard top came off the side of the house and didn't come up off the top of the house. It would cause you to have to like sneak down the side of the boat and be careful not to hip check the pipe work. So we cut back the house, took a section out, made a perch or a pad for the hard top leg to sit on, redesigned the front of the pipe work so you weren't staring at the pipes while you were running the boat.
So Artie came to me and said we need a bigger T-top, but it can't be too big, it can't be too small, we need shade, and I want X, Y, and Z in it. I want the Gemlux outriggers, I want the Gemlux antenna mounts, I want speakers in it, I want lights in it, I want the radar mount, I want all of this stuff. So I basically said to him, no problem, just drop off everything that you want in this top, and I'll start making a top. And I do know you were a little reluctant at first, and you were like, well, what are we gonna do here and there? I said, let me just start. So I just took some Vinicel, which is foam, and I started making channels and making a T-top, and basically came up with what you see here. And then we had to make a couple of changes. We added side lights to the T-top, and made a couple of changes, but that's really how it started. I just kind of sat there with a knife and some glue and started making some things work, and this is right size, this is the wrong size. We had to shave some of the ends off, and
I think we kind of tapered the ends in a little bit.
Yeah, that's really how it happened. We just kind of started gluing foam together, and that's what we came up with. The top itself, I would say, is probably one of the most time-consuming things that went into the project as far as one actual part of the boat. Yeah. Would be the top, building it. And like I said, it was built from scratch. So the pipe work was built I made like a mock-up one once, brought it to the pipework guy, and we'd had the pipework built. And then after the pipework was built, I was able to mount everything to the boat and then build the hardtop that you see now. So it's done nice. It's all done with T-nuts too, so everything is actually nut and bolted together. There's no screws in it. It's done with the intention of, if it ever does need to come off, it needs to come off like a gentleman, not in pieces. The console area was a little tough for us because he's considerably shorter than I am. So when he's like, just, we got to mount it, I'm like, you need to come here. I need you to stand here and figure out the seat placement. And we took the original helm seating area and cut it down so that we would have room to walk between the leaning post area and the helm seat there, and then turn that into a tackle storage. But I would say that was really one of the trickiest things was, a 6'3" guy trying to build a boat for a, what are you,
5'6".
Four now?
Yeah, 4 foot. But I'd say that was probably like the most argument that we had throughout the entire build was how many inches we needed. Remember, you were also like 60 pounds heavier at that point.
I must have measured the same measurement for him 40 times. I'm like,
it's not gonna work.
We drew it out on the floor and everything, and then I just, again, started building.
So I knew that I had a ton of room underneath the helm. I just didn't have the height. And I knew that we were gonna need to play with the stringers to gain enough height for me to put the unit inside there. Underneath where the Seakeeper's mounted, that's where the freshwater tank and the waste tank are. So we basically gutted the entire compartment, cut out the floor that was in the compartment, and we cut the stringers out. And we put all new stringers in with 1-inch aluminum plate mounted into the stringer, and that's where the Seakeeper foundation is. That's where the Seakeeper mounts to. In that room, we needed to add all the batteries for the Seakeeper, batteries for the boat, battery for the trolling motor, 3 batteries on one side, 3 batteries on the other side. Wound up having to build a false wall, maybe like a bulkhead per se, where everything is hidden behind the bulkhead. So when you open up that hatch, all you see is the 5 battery switches that are exposed, and all the plumbing and all the wiring and all the rigging is mounted behind the bulkhead. So after running the boat for a couple of months over the winter last year, it had Keef decay planes on it that you were constantly adjusting. It's a deep V boat, so anytime somebody moved port to starboard or walked around, you were forever on that trim tab. After looking at the boat on the trailer, I really didn't see anywhere to really install the ride system. And we slowly started refitting some boats with the Seakeeper RIDE system, and we started to get an idea of how the product worked and what it could do and what it couldn't do. And it was pretty impressive, what it was capable of. And had the boat out of the water on the trailer, and Rick and I were talking about it, and we had spoken to some guys at Seakeeper RIDE, and some guys had attempted to do it with building some pockets in the back of the boat, and they were having cavitation issues and needed to vent the pockets, and you were like, well, you can't just do that. And then I think we kind of came up with a plan that was your idea and my idea kind of together.
Yeah, the plan was, Artie, get out and just let me do it.
Yeah, we filled the entire transom pocket where the actuator was and where the tab originally recessed into, and Rick kind of built like a wedge that we
had to make, in essence, another pocket the size of the Seakeeper that cut into the boat and up into the boat for the length of the Seakeeper and the height of the Seakeeper.
One of the other things too on the original boat was that the transom door would open and it would swing into the engine, and it really didn't give you full range of access to go through that door. Also, when you were fishing and you got waves breaking over the transom in a boat, they would make their way into the transom and into the cockpit, and no matter who was standing there, you always had wet feet. So we decided to pop a mold off of the port live well, and we took the cooler from underneath the original seat behind the helm,
yep,
and we fit that underneath the starboard side where the transom door used to be, and used that mold that we popped off the port live well, and we basically closed up the transom like a newer style center console. So after fishing the boat for a couple months down in Florida, came up with the thought that I needed some type of workstation where you could rig baits and do some filleting and even just have lunch and be able to have something to stand that was at a decent height where you weren't hunched over. So I think it's one of the best things about the cockpit back there.
All the work I did in the cockpit, and you think the fillet station that came in the mail is the best thing?
Yeah. It was one of the best things that I bought to finish the cockpit.
Okay.
It wouldn't be the same cockpit without all the work that we did.
I got your number.
All right. The boat originally had a pair of Yamaha OX66s on it. I originally wanted to get a set of 300 Yamahas for it, but due to COVID and production issues, I wasn't able to get the 300s in time. The L6 Verado was a bulletproof engine. I was able to get it in the 350 horsepower. I probably, in hindsight, could have got 400s. They're a little heavier than I would like, but the boat runs great with them. It cruises at about 40 miles an hour, gets about 1.3 miles per gallon, tops off somewhere in the mid 50s, and they're pretty quiet, they're pretty economical, and I think they're pretty good engines.
So building the boat, I remember the first time I was on the other 31 with him down in Marathon, and I specifically remember it like it was yesterday, coming back to New York and telling people, I was like, I've never been on one of these boats before. I can't believe how good this boat rode. And up north, I pick and choose almost every single job that I do up there. If I wasn't so passionate about this boat and working with Artie, I probably wouldn't have took the job. And it's it's one of them things that I built because I believed in it and I believed in the boat, and the boat really is a brick shit house. It runs great, it runs incredible, it handles rough water. The Seakeeper definitely makes it a different animal. So did the Seakeeper RIDE. So as far as as far as a build goes, it was a great build. It was great working with Artie. And not only because we're friends, but it was really a pleasure working with somebody that knew what they wanted. And that's one of the hardest parts is building a boat, is getting somebody that actually knows what they want. And he knew basically from the bow light to the engine prop, he knew exactly what he wanted. He knew exactly how he wanted the finished product to look. He knew exactly how he wanted it to come out. And I guess combined, we as a team were the ones to get it done for him. And stupid things to the point of we put a little step in the side of the helm so that he can wipe down the top of the windshield because he couldn't reach it. Like, you can't buy a boat that has that step in it. So these are things that we wound up adding after the helm was built, but these are things that he knew he wanted and that we addressed, and it was pleasure building a boat to somebody that could use the boat, and watching him use the boat is satisfying in itself.
Thanks. Thanks, Rick.
Can I tell the truth now? Or?
Yeah.
After spending a great day on the water with Rick and Artie, I was really impressed with how this boat turned out, and I know it exceeded their expectations in every way. Now the boat, most noteworthy to me, it rode really well, and I'd like to point out the fact that I've been on a lot of 31 Contenders, and they are a boat that required a lot of trim tab attention, and they're kind of a light boat, so there's always somebody messing around with the trim tabs, and the boat's just kind of a light riding boat, and the addition of these ride system tabs just is night and day. I've never been on one that rode better than this, and they were really pleased with that. Now overall, the boat just came out great, especially for somebody's first undertaking. And in the case of Rick, he's got a lot of experience in auto body work, but this is something totally out of his wheelhouse, and he did a stellar job on the entire project. I think you'll agree with me that this boat is really something special. Hey, I'm George LaBonte, and I'll see you on the next Mission Dreamboat story.
Mission Boating, the ultimate marine resource.